Well, hello on this beautiful Sunday morning. Welcome to the upper deck. I'm Lynn, and there's Ciara right next to me. And this is going to be a speed show thanks to someone brilliant in the front office or Roku. Said, look, we have a deal, and the only time we could do it is 11:35. So don't they know that we go till at least noon every time? But so we're going to go very fast through all the things. So, and I see the chat loading on in. Get ready to type fast because we're talking fast. I'm already at warp speed. Um, Lori, I have time for this. Roku, really? What's next? Animal Planet? Probably, if they pay enough, Lori, they'll be next. So let's start with Spencer's trivia question of the week. 45 years ago, that's 1980, I did the math, the Yankees and Orioles batted for the AL East division crown. The Yankees edged out the O's with 103 wins over their 100 wins. Who was a former Orioles player who had previously won a World Series MVP as a Yankee? So put that guesses in the chat, and we'll get to it at the end of the show just before first pitch, it seems. Okay. So thanks, Spencer, as always. Let's just quickly, thank God we don't have much time, but let's get through it. Let's talk about Boston. Let's take our lumps. What do you want to say, Ciara?
I mean, do we have to look in the rearview mirror? It was all bad.
We don't have much time.
It was all bad. We got swept by Boston, which is embarrassing because we allowed them to get over 500. And now they're on a freaking tear right now. And these jerk faces waited until after they played us to trade their star player, right? I've been saying since the beginning of the season that they are going to trade Rafael Devers. I've been told I was crazy. They did it. But they waited until after they played us, and they did it for a reason. They didn't even shop him around. They didn't even get anything in return for him. They just wanted to make sure he was there to play against us. And good for them. Good for them for being salty little losers. We then go home to play the Angels, who we did say last week they're playing probably the best baseball they've played in a long time. But they embarrassed us too. We lost 3 out of 4 games to the freaking LA Angels, guys. LA Angels. What is wrong with this team right now? And the most frustrating part about all of this, looking in the rearview mirror, is the pitching. The pitching isn't the issue. Do we need a starting pitcher? Absolutely. But this last week, the pitching wasn't the issue. Our offense was terrible, lackadaisical, made stupid mistakes, played bad defense. This has been the worst baseball I've ever had to watch in my life. And that says a lot because we lived through the 2023 season.
Right. And when you say that, you're really cementing it down. And also it's just even everyone, even Judge. And so this June Swoon thing, and by the way, for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's kind of like a pretty old but common term. It's the falling apart after Memorial Day of a team that got off to a good start. So really in April and May. So, put the Yankees logo next to that definition, right? Because that's exactly what this has been. But you know what? Past the smelling salts, because we got to get out of this and wake up alive. Because we're heading into another series with Cincinnati that, who knows what's going to happen there. We still have to see if we're going to beat the O's today. So it's just the bats are slowly coming back. So maybe they're waking up, and maybe we're coming out of this swoon thing. So
not to mention that when we do go to Cincinnati, I've been complaining about our catching all season. They have Ellie De La Cruz on their team, one of the freaking fastest men in the world.
Yeah.
That may be a little dramatic, but the guy can run the bases. And that concerns me. Is Austin Wells going to be able to handle Ellie De La Cruz running the bases? Or is this guy about to come in? Well, we're going there. Is he about to walk into the stadium and steal 17 bases in 3 games because we can't throw anybody out?
Well, and so that has a lot to do with not just our guys, but and we'll talk about this, but how the umpires are feeling that day, and do they have their right prescription lenses in? So that's another thing we'll get to in a second. But let me just quickly do attendance. So hey, Duran, Jonathan, Lori, Jordan, FJ, Karen, Shayna, and CT Cards and FJ, and the gang's all here. And we're gonna squeeze it in. It looks like, by the way, first pitch is gonna be on or about on time. So thanks again, Roku. May we never see you be a sponsor again. Okay, so let's go to hot topics real fast though. And I'm gonna give you a spoiler right away by saying I am outnumbered and outvoted on this. But here's the question: did Boone make the right call pulling Schmidt when he did? So chat, let me know what you think. So here's the thing. I understand that he was at 103 pitches. I understand that the last thing we need is another guy, and one of our good ones on the IL, let alone one of our key starters. Still in all, at 103 pitches, to me and my finely tuned eye and expertise, he looked like he still was locating in command, not faltering in any way. And, I know this is a very tough decision for Boone. Any decision is a tough decision for Boone, but I understand the quandary for sure. But what would have been the harm of like letting him see the first batter? Even for a couple of pitches, and if there's any sign of anything, then you bring in the relief. But make the attempt, bring him into the eighth, let the record show he made it 8 1/3 at least, if he's not going to go all the way. And chances are he wouldn't have made it all the way anyway. I get all that, but you know what if I'm a what if kind of girl. It's really something that I should do away with, but there isn't enough therapy in the world for it. I'm always wondering what if. Having that under your belt matters. Later in your career. What if Schmidt ends up being a Cy Young in his career and a potential Hall of Famer? Having that under him would also have helped. And it's not too late. It could happen again. But there I am, Ciara.
Yeah, so I disagree. And we spoke about this before we hopped on. So I'm a huge Clarke Schmidt fan. And with Clarke Schmidt comes the concern of injury. He started this season on the IL. He's never thrown more than 103 pitches in his career. And I think just with how rocky it's been for our pitching staff and injuries going into this season, it's not worth taking the risk. He has consistently gotten better over each start. That was his second really good start this week alone. He pitched really well against the Angels, gave up 0 runs, 4 hits. And then yesterday he went out, he gave up 0 hits, no runs. He had 3 walks, 1 hit by pitch. So I think Boone made the right decision to save his arm. And to Lori's point, Clarke was okay with it. So if Clarke's okay with it, then I'm okay with it. We need Clarke Schmidt long term. We're thankfully going to be coming out of this really long, horrendous 16-game stretch and leaving the month of June behind us. So I need Clarke at the very top of his game, and that's kind of where he's at right now. So I wouldn't want to risk any type of injury.
Right. And scientist that I am, I ran a statistical poll on X, and I was far outnumbered. 70% agree with everyone whose name isn't Lynn. And so, and I 100% get it. And it was the right call. I get it. I just, I'm a fan at heart, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just, love when that happens for a guy who, has been working really hard on it. And yes, Clarke was okay with it, but Clarke is also a stand-up guy who's not going to throw a hissy fit on camera. and saying, what I think, was the right thing to say. But I know he's like me, and he's sitting at home going, shoulda, coulda, woulda, what if I could have been a contender. Anyway, so what you got? You got a hot topic? I know you have a couple actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've been complaining about Austin Wells all season, so this isn't going to come to a shock for anybody. But I want to talk about Austin Wells versus JC Escarra behind the plate because, first of all, I don't think we've seen enough of JC Escarra. I think we get caught up in the beautiful story of JC Escarra and all the adversity and just like how far he's come, but we're not looking at what he's actually doing behind the plate. So, last week we spoke about how in all four of our 1-0 wins, he has been behind the plate. Well, now going into yesterday, he had that under his belt. For Clarke Schmidt, he was there for his seven inning no hitter. But if you look at the overall ERAs of the pitchers with Escarra behind the plate, like it speaks for itself. So I'm going to just take a small sample size of 3 pitchers, right? So Will Warren with Austin Wells as his catcher has a 6.56 ERA, while with Escarra, he has a 2.76. Clarke Schmidt going into yesterday's game, so it's probably a little different now. He was at a 1.59 ERA with Escarra and a 3.74 with Wells. Devin Williams is the biggest number, like the biggest difference you're going to see. So Devin Williams, who has, he's been very up and down this season.
Yeah.
With Escarra, a 1.83 ERA. With Wells, a 6.33 ERA. I feel like that speaks for itself. And no, you cannot put all of the blame on the catcher, right? But there are certain things that catchers can do to help their pitchers, blocking wild pitches or pass balls, framing better, especially since I constantly hear about how great of a framer Austin Wells is. He hasn't really shown me that he's that great, to be completely honest. So I personally, and with Austin Wells kind of slumping right now at the plate with everyone else, I would like to see more of Escarra. I really would.
Yeah, and CT's been agreeing with you all the way through what you were saying. And yeah, and oh yeah, we'll get to Sanchez in a sec, Jared. We've been definitely talking about him.
And just to wrap up this point real quick.
Yeah.
We DFA'd Pablo Reyes, who the Mets just signed on a minor league deal, and I think that's hilarious. But we have 3 catchers technically on our roster, and I'm curious: is Austin Wells trade bait at this point? Right? Like, is he? Oh,
I don't know what's going on. I didn't touch anything.
Is Austin Wells trade bait at this point? Because we don't need 3 catchers, right? And if they're going to give Ben reps at catching and JC Escarra is out here proving himself, Austin Wells is still a valuable trade piece. He's 25 years old? He does have a bat. He's something, but he does have the ability to hit the ball well.
Yeah.
And look at the other catchers that the Yankees have traded away and what the other teams have done for them, right? You look at Carlos Narvaez, killing it in Boston. You look at Ramirez down in Miami, looks phenomenal, right? Maybe this is the guy that we need to trade at the deadline, because I did hear Boone say that getting Luis Gil back is like getting a trade deadline piece. And I don't agree with that. I think someone on this current roster has to go in order to improve the current roster.
I didn't even understand why he would say that. I mean, obviously they have to make room for him on the roster, but why would he use those words as a trading piece? If he didn't have, to your point, something in mind. It would make too much sense for him to be thinking about Wells, because I agree with you. I think, while the money could be good, get him off our docket. And he was runner up for Rookie of the Year last year. He does have some good numbers behind him. It's June Swoon. Everyone knows the June Swoon thing. Not a big deal. That was just a thing. Not really who he is. So, yeah, I am Team Escarra. I want to see a little bit more of him before I think of him as the starting catcher. But I see him becoming that more and more. And he's doing great things with some very inconsistent pitchers, to your point, with Devin Williams. So, yeah. Um, so just a very quick hot topic. Weaver's return. People were upset about Weaver's return, and were you, Sierra? Like,
No, I mean, did he look a little rusty? Sure, but one run is not. It should never be the end all be all, right? Like our offense has been so bad this month, and the pitchers have been actually very consistent, in my opinion. Our offense just hasn't backed them up. And while we were having a decent game at that point, our offense still let us down at the end of the day. One run should never kill us.
right. I agree 100%. Yeah, and come on, first day back. Give us a break. Those were the same people that were mad that they didn't bring him out in the ninth, that they put him in so early. Same people that were complaining about what happened. So
it's a lose-lose. It
really is.
I've learned that the internet is a very negative place when it comes to the New York Yankees, especially when they're slumping. So I try to take as much as I can with a grain of salt.
Yeah, me too. And let's just that's right, Karen. Just like you said to all the bullies when I was a kid, leave Weaver alone. He is going to be just fine, and we need him 100%. Let him ease in like everyone else gets eased in. So that's enough about that. Let's move on to who's hot and who's not.
This was a struggle. I really couldn't find anyone. I can give the whole pitching staff kind of a nod because they were very consistent. If I was gonna give out awards, so to speak, I would give Clarke Schmidt the ace for the week just because he was so dominant and so consistent over 2 starts.
Yeah.
Reliable Rodon and Fried were both, Rodon had a quality start. Again, we should be able to overcome a 3-run deficit. Fried was solid, no help from the offense. Again, Weaver one run. It doesn't kill you. And the bullpen actually looked very good. And I know people were upset with JT Brubaker yesterday, but I was just shocked that the guy even exists. Okay, I thought he was a figment of my imagination until he was on the mound yesterday. 1 hit over 2 innings. He didn't even give up a run. What are we upset about? Who cares at that point about a no-hitter, right? Clarke Schmidt didn't care at that point, so why do we care about a combined no-hitter? I just wanted to win at the end of the day. So I'm just going to say the pitching staff, shout out to you guys, and then give a quick honorable mention to my guy Stanton because while maybe he's not power hitting at the moment, he's giving us professional at-bats. And there, leadoff double in his debut game that was wasted in the 9th inning. So shout out again to the offense for not coming through.
Right. And just like we talked about before we hopped on, Sierra, that hit against a Brubaker should not have been a hit.
Agreed. Yeah, and he should have already been struck out at that point, right? Screw you, Gary Sanchez.
Seriously. Yep. And FJ was saying the same thing as we were saying it. Yep, 100%. Hey, and Stanton, like you said, first at bat, welcome home. But he's been hitting those small ball, things and running the bases pretty good. I always have to put that little plug in for him. Pretty good. So the power swing's gonna come again. Give him the grace. Let him ease on down the road a little bit. So yeah, and so and then we have Volpe. He's alive. Finally broke that slump with went 3 for 4 yesterday, 2 RBIs and a home run. Will we see that ever again?
So I put Volpe as a not because shout out to him for breaking his slump yesterday, but you were over 25 going into that, and you can see it was mentally affecting him in the field. He's playing some pretty sloppy defense for a Gold Glove defender. Also, over 25, and here's where the analytic department drives me up a wall. Why is he sitting today? He finally broke his 0 for 25. It's 3 hits. Now you're going to set him. You should have sat him a week ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Not today. This is where I go like absolutely bananas. And I get it. Like, do analytics need to be a part of the game? Absolutely. But I think the Yankees, they live and die by it, and that's one of our flaws right now.
Yep. And it's like Lori was in the studio with us before we came on, because look at this.
I swear to God, the replay guys hate DJ LeMahieu. I don't know what DJ did to them, but the fact that 3 calls in the last week or so and 2 of them were for DJ, what did the guy do to them? Because first of all, that foul ball against the Red Sox was fair, especially since the very next day, the very first at bat for Ref Schneider, he hit the same foul ball and it was called fair. And then Friday night, DJ was safe at home. I don't know why we have replay guys if they're just going to get it wrong.
Yep. So, all right. So we're a split decision on Volpe. Maybe so. I guess that means on the average it's a meh on Volpe. But you know, you had a meh. But you know, and anything else you wanted to say about your meh?
I gave the meh to JT Brubaker, and not because he pitched bad, but it's literally our first sighting of this guy since we traded for him last season. He gave up 1 hit, which again, we all agree there shouldn't have been a hit. Gary Sanchez struck out. The umps just clearly hate us right now, or they need some LASIK surgery or something. He gave up 1 walk and he struck somebody out over 2 innings. So overall, it was a good outing. And there was like 36 pitches, I think, overall he threw. Mm-hmm. I don't hate it. It gave some other bullpen arms a break too to be used today.
Right. Yeah, CT had the numbers: 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Yeah, 36 pitches, a little bit more than you want, but not bad. I mean, I was like, who? Like you, like, but I think we're going to be saying who a lot. It seems to be. So, I hate to say that Sierra and I don't have a hero of the week for all the reasons we just basically said. If I were to have one, it would be Clarke Schmidt. But we've talked about him up and down and sideways. So let's move on then to what now? So did anyone think that Yarbrough something happened that hurt him? This IL was a total shock.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I feel like this is a phantom IL because Yarbrough kind of turned back into a pumpkin because I think we overutilized him. And he had good outings, but then he didn't. I feel like it's a very similar situation as Stroman, where I'm not sure Stroman was ever actually injured. We just kind of put him up on the shelf and said, we'll come get you later when we need you. But he's hitting the IL, and we have somebody coming up from AAA today that'll probably end up going back down tomorrow because Alan Winans is going to come up and make a start. So
right, yep. And so yeah, he's starting against Cincy. Frankly, I gotta admit, I forgot about Winans as even being an option. But his numbers look really good, right?
He's been solid. He doesn't even have a 1 ERA. We talked about him a few weeks ago because he was just kind of lights out. I'm happy that they're making that decision, right? Because we know Stroman is coming back. They've already said it. He's had 2 good outings. They want him to do 1 more, and then he'll be back in the rotation. But to have another option readily available now is nice because that also helps us with our options post All-Star break. It helps the Yankees see who they have as trade bait or who they need to get rid of, I guess you could say.
Right.
So we'll see.
We'll see about that. And Lori, as you're saying, he's on vacation in Ibiza. Let me tell you that Stroman is scheduled to throw approximately 70 pitches in his 3rd minor league rehab on Tuesday, and then would be in the mix for activation, Aaron Boone said. So somebody up above said, who's the 5th starter going to be? I think we're looking at it, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time with Yarbrough on the IL especially.
I think it'll be Winans just for Monday, and then we'll see Stroman after our day off.
That's right. So we'll see him against the A's. He'll be back in the rotation. So, there's always something to look forward to as Yankee fans. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna let's go here next because time is a ticking. Let's go to what's next. So as we said, here's today's lineup with no Volpe on it. I understand Trent had a good game yesterday, and I understand pickings are slim. What I don't understand is why he's leading off.
I hate him as leadoff. I've hated it every single time. I don't have the answer because we haven't had a leadoff hitter in forever. But at this point, I would stick with Dominguez or Rice.
Right.
Why Trent Grisham? It doesn't make sense to me.
Dominguez is having chicken parm with Volpe today, apparently, too. So because he has an off day. So there's our lineup for the rubber game. And can we please win a series? Let's just wake up from we hit the floor and we swooned.
Oh,
can we just? Huh?
I have a question after looking at this lineup. This is the second game in a row that Paul Goldfish is not starting.
Did you say Paul Goldfish?
I did. Yeah, I did.
I like it. Let's keep it. Yeah, what's up with that? Oh boy, let's not even think it. Don't even think it, let alone say it. Just don't. Okay.
I'm just asking. Like,
no. I'm just.
Where did he go?
I'm more talking to myself. Yeah. So hey, Lou, good to see you. 100%. But you know what? Boston spanked us 2 series. And so why shouldn't the O's do the same? So, but yes, we got to win. Enough with this nonsense. And we already said Cincy for 3 days. Then on the 26th, see that star right there? It's an off day. And sometimes an off day means that there's an episode of History and Heroes coming your way Thursday night. So hope you join us live at 8 on this channel for that. And then we have the A's. And let's see what the A's are going to do for us because everyone else seems to be kicking us in the rear. All right. So Spencer's question of the week. Who was a former Orioles player who had previously won a World Series MVP as a Yankee? There were 2 correct answers in the chat. We don't have much time. First pitch is 6 minutes away. So giving you a minute, you newcomers. And then some congratulation awards are going to go to certain trivia masters in the group. And it was Reggie Jackson. So Karen and Lori, great job. You really are the trivia whizzes week after week. So Reggie Jackson won the MVP for World Series twice, 1973 with the A's and 1977 with the Yankees. So thanks, Spencer, again for the great question. And FJ got it. FJ, I'm so sorry. I missed it. So, yep. And FJ is another one, smarty pants. Always gets it. So thank you so much for that. And then, like I said, History and Heroes, by the way, this episode coming up will be the last time for a little bit that we're sticking close to current times. And the hero we've chosen is a little bit controversial. And that's all we're going to say about it. And so hope to see you catch that there. And listen, guys, I said at the top we were going to talk fast. We talked fast so that you could turn on the game. Don't forget Roku in just a minute. Lou, I say July is going to make us. We're going to head into the All-Star break strong. By July, we'll have some solid trading pieces in our pocket. So I'm willing that into existence. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This went like a flash. You have all our follows there. And as always, you have a reserved seat with Ciara and me right here on the upper deck. And for crying out loud, go Yankees!